Non-Profit Report is going live in 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Non-Profit Report. This is your host, Jorge Villalobos from The Best Restoration, Masters of Disasters. In the production, we have in the back, Elio Piedra, the Fiesta Man here in Gainesville. And we're gonna start telling you why we are so excited to have this program in Gainesville, because we were looking for how we can bring a platform to all our nonprofit organizations, how we can give them the possibility for them to go and express everything that they do for our community, how we can help them, and especially is how we can get it together to make a better results for everybody. Then, you know, first episode, we always have important people. Then today we have the greatest, Jane Moraski for Family Promise. Welcome, Jane.
Hi, thank you for having me. And thank you to Fiesta Media for starting this out this way. This is great.
With Jane, we are friends for a couple years. We were part of the leadership Gainesville. I used to use red. What you used to use?
Yellow.
Yellow. Okay, that was a nice challenge. By the way, nice program that the Chamber of Commerce has for a lot of the people in the community and in business in Gainesville. And you know, you have the chance to meet so important people like Jane. Then Jane, welcome. And we're gonna tell us about Family Promise. Tell us about first what exactly Family Promise does.
Sure. We're working to end childhood homelessness. That's really what we do. We do it in a lot of different ways, starting with the thing that most people are familiar with, which is our shelter system. So it is a homeless shelter for families with kids, and it's a 90-day program. They can stay with us, get back on their feet. If they don't have a job, we'll help them find one. We help them find housing. We do budgeting. We do all of those things, anything that's related to making sure that they stay stably housed. That's what it's all about.
That's great, but tell us about you, Jane. Well, tell us about your story. Tell us about you, your family, and how you get in Gainesville, and how you get involved with this.
Sure. I live in Gainesville because my husband teaches at UF, and now that I live here and I find today cold, I'm a weather wimp and I'm not sure I can move anywhere else, so that's how I stay. But I do love this town. I have two daughters who are teenagers, and they go to Gainesville High School, and I've been married 25 years. And both my husband and I were military brats, so we lived all over the world and got to realize that this is home.
That's great. That's the reason, Elio, in the production, that she has the chance to understand really good an accent, because she lives all around the world. We have to try to facilitate the communication with the people that we invite to the program. But how do you get involved with Family Promise? Because, you know, I know that you were involved with the housing industry before, but how you end in front of this special organization?
My first job out of high school was at a housing authority just outside of Omaha, Nebraska. And I saw the impact of having a safe place to live. And I think that's what really sparked my interest. You combine that with being a military kid who always had a different place to call home. And if you didn't have that stability, I think it just made it hard for kids to focus and hard for them to stay safe. So that was sort of became a passion of mine. So when I heard about Family Promise, I was a member of First Presbyterian Church downtown, and my 14-year-old was 2 at the time, and we just served dinner for families. Wow. We brought dinner for the 15 people that were living there, had dinner, sat down with them, and my kids played with their kids. And I realized that the chance for your children to be able to give back and to teach them early on to be good citizens was important to me. And I think that Family Promise is pretty special because you can do that with your entire family, volunteer as a group. So that's kind of what drew me to it. And then they hired me as their executive director in 2015. So I've been there, this is starting my 6th year at Family Promise.
And tell us about what what are the changes since the day that you started in 2015 until now? By the way, I have to do kind of a comment here. I'm part of the board of the Family Promise organization, and I haven't, for the last, I don't know how many seasons we have already, I only hear the great things that you did for this organization and how when everybody start to be part of the board, they realize that the money account was almost empty 90% of the time, and now to see the great success. Tell us about what happened and how did you evolve in where you are right now?
Sure. They did have some financial issues and some leadership issues, but the support from the community was always here. So they did close their doors in 2014 and start over. So they had one staff member when they hired me. That was it. I drove the van, I did the case management, and I did the volunteer management for the first year. And I kept telling my husband, it's going to slow down. It's going to get better. And it hasn't really slowed down, but that's partially because we keep finding new ways to serve the community. But since that time, we now have 8 staff members. 4 of them are full-time and then 4 part-time. And then we used to serve about 50 families per year before they closed down. And now we serve over 250. So that's a 500% growth just in their programs and what they do, and about a tenfold growth in the amount of grants and the way that they can provide services for families.
It is crazy. Tell us about, if you meet today with one of the donors, what is their perception about what you do for the community?
I think that the donors should realize that we're really lean and that the financial resources that are provided are really taken care of, and we're serious about making sure that we utilize their gifts the best we can. For me, I've actually had people that are really curious about the finances and they kind of drill you, and I say bring it on. We should be transparent. So we have all of that information on our website, and you can see what our 990 taxes are and those kinds of things, so you can see what we do. We want people to know that we're taking their gifts seriously and that we're out there using it the best way we can and giving the most of it to the families directly.
And now we went from the donor side to the people who receive the benefit. I was in a meeting in one of these lunches that you did in the church a couple years ago, and I remember that a family received a house.
Yes.
Tell me what they can say about Family Promise right now.
Well, we're friends now, and I think that they still volunteer and still give back. And, what I hope they would say is that they were met unconditionally where they were and treated with respect and given the chance to get back on their feet. And honestly, they did the rest. They were the ones that decided to change their lives for the better, and they did all the hard work. We just tried to help them along the way.
That's great. And also tell us from where you started in 2015 about the programs, how everything changed.
Sure. We started with just the shelter that was the rotational model where our families would stay for 90 days and they would move. They would be in one congregation one week, then they would pick up and move their things to another one, so that once a quarter, like a church might host our families. That was the only program when we started, and then we moved into some rental deposit programs, some homeless prevention programs. The prevention is just what it sounds. A family hopefully never enters the shelter system at all. We just help them stay where they are. If they have a job and they just got behind on maybe 1 month's rent, then we try to give them the funds to stay where they are and make sure that their kids stay in the same school and everything stays as stable as possible. And then we have some ancillary programs such as Pets with a Promise. If your family has a pet and they would need help while they're in shelter, then we can actually shelter their pet. We have a Connect to Work program where if a family has goals to increase their income, they might need the CNA license or some sort of licensure. We can help pay for that. We have ways to connect with them so that they can increase their income, and then of course that helps you stay stably housed. And then finally, we move at least 30,000 pounds of furniture a year so that every family who graduates from all of our programs gets their house furnished as best we can with the donations from local folks giving us used furniture. So kind of put all those things together and try to keep a family housed and safe where they are.
You know, one of the purpose of this program is to let everybody knows about this. I'm in the board. I haven't heard a lot of the things that she's saying. Even if we are like in a class that we are getting better and better, is everything that we hear is amazing. And tell me about your goals, because I know that everybody talk about the beginning of the year, about what I'm expecting for this year. We came from COVID. Tell us about what was the situation the previous year, how this affect you, and now what is your goal for the next 3 or 5 years?
Sure. Well, like a lot of organizations, the pandemic kind of changed everything for us. We had it all volunteer run every night, as I kind of described, and we lost that on March 22nd of 2020. That means we lost $34,000 of volunteer and in-kind support per month. So that was a big shock to the system, to say the least, but we tried to find ways and new partnerships to build the program, because we knew we had to find a way to still help families. There are family promises around the country, and some of them actually closed as a result of the pandemic, and I just couldn't see that happening. So we found ways to first put them in hotels, and then we made partnerships with local landlords and put them in rental units. And that's what we have now, is sort of a scattered site. Instead of having our rotational structure at faith organizations, now all of our families are in apartment rentals. And then where do we want to head? We just finished renovating, actually with your help, and the Best Restoration's help, and Rebuilding Together, and a whole cadre of people, 4 units that will be permanent affordable housing units for the families who graduate from our programs. So our long-range goals are to own at least 25 units locally and keep them affordable and safe housing for families with kids.
That's great. Tell us about how the revenue come to you, because most of the time we hear about a lot of organizations, but we don't know how they can get enough money to fund all the programs that you have. Tell us about what is the main ones, and what is the other ones that still is a source of income, but they don't have the same relevance that the bigger ones.
Sure. My background's in grant writing, so the majority of our income is from grant revenue, but we'd like to change that. We'd like it to be sort of like a 3-legged stool, where it's 30% grants, 30% corporate sponsorship, and 30% individuals. We're not quite there yet. We're definitely rely a little too heavily on government grants, but those have been sustaining us. And through the CARES Act, actually, this last year, we actually had a few extra government grants that helped through the time that was really critical, because a lot of people, even if you had a really mild case of COVID, you had weeks off work, that can mean the difference between losing your house and not. The sort of saying, that some people are one paycheck away from homelessness, I think a lot of people realized, oh, that's my neighbor. That's more people than they thought maybe possible because of this pandemic.
And how do you approach this to try to, the people that is in the other side watching us right now, to understand that the program is directly more for the kids? Because at the end, the kids is the foundation of have a roof, have a safe place to stay. What you don't talk about it?
For me, the statistic that was really telling was when a child becomes homeless, they experience more acute and chronic illnesses, and then they're 9 times as likely to be held back a grade. That's just astounding.
Can I ask you something? Can you please repeat what you say? Because people has to understand the dimension of this. This is not just a cost. This is not an organization. This is something that if we take care of the youngers, possible we're going to have a nice future. Yeah. So families who have the same demographics and the same income level, again, a lot of our families are working, but if they lose their home, their children are more likely to have acute and chronic illnesses, and they are 9 times as likely to be held back a grade. And I think then those kids think they're failures. Then you set them up for a foundation with holes in it where they don't feel like they're as worthy to obtain education, and it all snowballs so that we can make their time homeless as brief as possible, then we're doing our job.
And it's really a form of trauma for those kids. And so anything we can do to help them, it is what it's all about to me. And to see those kids smile and to see them relax once they realize they're in a safe place, either just in our shelter, but finally when they get the home of their own and they're so giddy to be there, even if it doesn't have any furniture in it, they just know that that's their place, and then they finally feel that connection. It's a pretty cool thing.
What you don't, I have another question, but what you don't tell us about the experience that we have a couple weeks with one of the tenants about talking about the dining room table. Tell us about it.
Sure. We just finished the renovations for these 4 units, and we had a family, it was fully furnished. So the family came in to see where they were going to live. And the mother's reaction surprised me. She said she liked the place and it was very pretty and it was nice, but she said, "There's a table." And she said, "I've never had a dining room table." And we realized when we were talking that that meant she never had a place for her kids to connect and relax and have dinner together, never had a place for them to do their homework. And so that one small thing, which most people take for granted, she definitely didn't. She was very, very appreciative just of having a table.
Everybody was really impressed with this story because we tried to understand what is the nice thing of a table. But for her it was a really nice message. Tell us about what was the hardest decision that you have to take in the last few years that affect your program? Something that you say, I hope I don't have to do this, but I don't have any option.
I think that I mentioned how much we've grown. So part of that is because I like to say yes if I see that it fits our mission and it makes sense for us to help more people. But I think during the pandemic, we actually had one of our case managers away on maternity leave. And when she was gone, we were even more short-staffed and even more lean than we normally are. And I think at some point at the end of the year, we realized we can't keep working at this pace. And so our shelter used to have 15 people at a time, and we had 42 people in the month of December. So that realization that we had to scale back, even though we had more and more demand, I think was really hard on all of us, because we're in this because we want to help people, and we had to take a step back and realize what was safer for our staff so we didn't burn out and so that we continue to do this long term.
Yeah, this is kind of critical. Tell us about the events that the churches, the local churches, they do. You can stay there for a few days, and also you have the chance to have breakfast and have dinner. I remember because I was part of one of them, and was an amazing experience just to share food with somebody who have a rough day, who doesn't have a lot of hope. And this is what I think, this is the message for everybody, is how we can bring more hope to other people.
Yeah, and given the pandemic, it's been difficult to make those connections, and so we are trying to do small things like record little videos of the kids or the parents, so you know who they are. And then we have volunteers who are reading books like bedtime stories to the kids and sharing a video that way so that they can stay safe but still stay connected. And I think that connection is ultimately sort of the secret sauce of Family Promise, is that there are so many people out there that care, that want to help their neighbors in need. We just have to be the vehicle to connect them. And then those families feel that love because they know they're accepted unconditionally.
How we can talk with donors, how we can talk with the community to express the need from Family Promise. What is the best way for us and for everybody who is watching the program right now? How is the best way for us to help?
Well, I think financial help is always appreciated, but I think more than that, it's understanding and being an advocate for these families, knowing that there are children right now. In fact, the school just did an analysis of how many children are in Alachua County schools, and there are 700 children between the ages of 5 and 18 in our school system. That doesn't include their parent. We assume most of them have at least one parent with them. And that doesn't include any siblings that are younger than 5. So that means that 1,400 people are out there not having a home of their own. So many of them are living in their car. We just took a family last week who, a mom and twins that are newborn, and a 2-year-old living in a car. I know you have kids. I have 2 girls, and the thought of trying to have all my girls in my car, especially when they were young and bouncing off the walls like
Yes.
a toddler should be, is hard. So we want the community to know we're still helping people, and your support through providing meals for our families, there's a sign up to do that, or supplies for our families, or those financial donations help keep the program running.
I'm pretty sure that Elio is running right now with the production. We're going to be sure that we have the website and all the information for them in case that you want to help. Everybody can help. You know, this is a moment that, you know, with after COVID, you know, what is happening outside. We see, like a business owner, we see obviously how our business get affected, and other businesses like, you know, all the services and restaurants and hotels. And you can imagine a lot of the people that has low income, they work in these industries. Then we have to be sure that if it's something that we have in excess, or is something that we can do to help, it definitely is something that is our call, you know, is our commitment, especially in this community. Tell us about why Gainesville is so important and so special about a nonprofit organization.
I think I knew the previous director 2 directors ago for Family Promise, and so I reached out to her and I said, you know, should I take this job when they've closed down? And she said, oh, yes. She said, the support has always been there. There are so many people who really care that this community is special, and it's really was just a matter of sort of making sure we reconnected with them and told them the story and started over in a way that was meaningful for them to connect. And so I'm happy to say that Gainesville is home, and that it is an amazing community. I am often in awe. Even folks, you know, you run a business full time and you take the time out to be on our board and to help us. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do what you're doing now, but there's so many people willing to do this that Gainesville's a special place.
Tell us another thing that is important is about you. What you spend most of your time on? What you do other than work? I know that your day of 24 hours, 19 is Family Promise. Tell us about the other 5. What you do?
You mean for fun, or do you mean
for both?
For both. Okay. Yes. For Family Promise, most of my time is actually changing constantly, and I think that's one of the things I love about the job, is that it's always something new. So I've actually done things from loading up the furniture myself to move in with people, or helping decorate the units that we renovated, or going through that, or grant reporting. That's a lot of what I do, is the administrative side now. I have the case management staff who does the direct services, and now I focus more on big picture things and making sure that the grants are running smoothly, and that everything is connecting. So that's that. And I actually do volunteer with my girls, and I'm happy to say I told you that they volunteered with Family Promise early on. They both are very civic-minded now, and so they get us out and volunteering with other stuff too. So we do a lot of that kind of thing as a family still, and again, that's part of what makes Gainesville pretty cool.
And tell us about the big event for Gainesville, that is the bed race. Obviously, we have some issues this year. What is the plan for this year? Tell us about it.
Sure. Well, we have a kind of funny race. I described that our shelter used to move from place to place, and the beds were literally on wheels. And so we thought it was pretty cool to have a bed race every year for the last 6 years. It was a twin-size bed pushed by 4 people with 1 bed rider down a 100-yard track. Since we can't get together like we used to, and we've shrunk down our shelter from the big communal living to smaller sites, we went and shrunk down the bed race too. So this year we're having a tiny bed race. Anybody who's familiar with Boy Scouts and the Pinewood Derby, they race little cars that are about 5 inches long down a track. The Boy Scouts are going to lend us their track and let us use the same basic kit that you can shape into a bed instead. So if you have a team that wants to join the race, it is a fundraiser. And the information is on our website now, but it's a cool thing to do. You can design your little racer bed individually and then watch it race in a virtual event that actually Fiesta Media will be involved in as well to help us to showcase our virtual bed race in a tiny version.
That's beautiful. Something that you want to say to close this is an amazing experience for us. First is the first person here in the program and also a really special one. Tell us how you're going to close this.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. As the eviction moratorium looms on the horizon, we know that there are going to be more families in need, and there's an estimate that 30% of all families who rent across the entire nation are not going to be able to stay in their house. So we thank you, Gainesville, for your support, and we need your help.
Wow. She didn't prepare nothing. I just want to be sure to tell you that everything was completely natural. That was Jorge Villalobos for the big event, first time, Family Promise. Jane Moraski doing a fantastic job, and we'll see you soon after the break. Thank you, Jane, again.
Thank you.
Spring is here. Call the best restoration for all of your cleaning needs for every surface in your home. Get rid of stains and pet odors with state-of-the-art carpet, rug, and upholstery cleaning. Our expert technicians will make your tile and grout look like new. Improve your in-home air quality by removing pollen and pet hair with our nationally certified air duct cleaning. Call the best restoration, masters of disasters today.
We don't call it restoration, we call it restoration. The best restoration, masters of disasters.
Spring is here. Call the best restoration for all of your cleaning needs for every surface in your home. Get rid of stains and pet odors with state-of-the-art carpet, rug, and upholstery cleaning. Our expert technicians will make your tile and grout look like new. Improve your in-home air quality by removing pollen and pet hair with our nationally certified air duct cleaning. Call the best restoration, masters of disasters today.
We don't call it restoration, we call it restoration. The best restoration, masters of disasters.
Spring is here. Call the best restoration for all of your cleaning needs for every surface in your home. Get rid of stains and pet odors with state-of-the-art carpet, rug, and upholstery cleaning. Our expert technicians will make your tile and grout look like new. Improve your in-home air quality by removing pollen and pet hair with our nationally certified air duct cleaning. Call the best restoration, masters of disasters today.
We don't call it restoration, we call it restoration. The best restoration, masters of disasters.
Spring is here. Call the best restoration for all of your cleaning needs for every surface in your home. Get rid of stains and pet odors with state-of-the-art carpet, rug, and upholstery cleaning. Our expert technicians will make your tile and grout look like new. Improve your in-home air quality by removing pollen and pet hair with our nationally certified air duct cleaning. Call the best restoration, masters of disasters today.
We don't call it restoration, we call it restoration. The best restoration, masters of disasters.
Spring is here. Call the best restoration for all of your cleaning needs for every surface in your home. Get rid of stains and pet odors with state-of-the-art carpet, rug, and upholstery cleaning. Our expert technicians will make your tile and grout look like new. Improve your in-home air quality by removing pollen and pet hair with our nationally certified air duct cleaning. Call the best restoration, masters of disasters today.
We don't call it restoration, we call it restoration. The best restoration, masters of disasters.
Spring is here. Call the best restoration for all of your cleaning needs for every surface in your home. Get rid of stains and pet odors with state-of-the-art carpet, rug, and upholstery cleaning. Our expert technicians will make your tile and grout look like new. Improve your in-home air quality by removing pollen and pet hair with our nationally certified air duct cleaning. Call the best restoration, masters of disasters today.
We don't call it restoration, we call it restoration. The best restoration, masters of disasters.
Spring is here. Call the best restoration for all of your cleaning needs for every surface in your home. Get rid of stains and pet odors with state-of-the-art carpet, rug, and upholstery cleaning. Our expert technicians will make your tile and grout look like new. Improve your in-home air quality by removing pollen and pet hair with our nationally certified air duct cleaning. Call the best restoration, masters of disasters today.
We don't call it restoration, we call it restoration. The best restoration, masters of disasters.
Spring is here. Call the best.
Good afternoon. Second episode of today. Welcome to the Nonprofit Report. Your new host, the same host of before. This is Jorge Villalobos from The Best Restoration, Masters of Disasters. In the production, we have Elio Piedra, the Fiesta Man, is in the back doing everything to put this together. Welcome to the second part for the people who weren't here for the first one. The purpose of this program is just to bring all the nonprofits in our county and try to bring them the platform that they don't have and explain us what they do. And the more special thing is how we can help them to get more successful. This is our purpose of the Nonprofit Report, and we're gonna be working the whole year in this. Then welcome to my good friends from Grace Marketplace, John and JT. Nice to see you guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. I know that they are really nervous. Then I don't want to try to put too much pressure. That means that I'm going to be soft with him. I'm going to say John is the executive director and JT, the development director. There's a lot of directors here. I'm a director of this program. Then we feel it's so good. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. You know, we have a beautiful lady starting this program today. A lot of the things that she does are related with what you do. I think you are the first process before she starts to get in action. But tell us about, John, tell us about you. How you start in Gainesville, and what bring you here, and what exactly is your experience to be behind this special project?
Well, you know, Gainesville's my home. Gainesville's been my home for about 25 years, and it has been a community that I've grown into and been real fortunate to be here. So I've gone from moving up here for school to becoming an activist in town with a group called Food Not Bombs back at this point, I can say before the turn of the century. And, you know, started off with these great opportunities to work with people without housing where I don't think I was an activist when I started. I think I was just looking to do the right thing and looking for ways that I could help folks in my community. And as we talked to a lot of the people we were sharing food with, we found out that we were sharing food and we were sharing blankets. And then the next year, you know, we'd see the same people year in and year out. And so we were doing a really good job of helping people have enough food and stay warm, but we weren't doing enough to actually end their homelessness. And so in those early conversations I was having with people, that really set the stage for the work that we do at Grace. Because if, you know, we could give out 1 million meals, we could give out 1 million pairs of socks or 1 million toothbrushes, but if somebody's still homeless at the end of the day, we're not doing our job. And so we have been incredibly fortunate to have the privilege to do this work in Gainesville, and it's as much a home for me as it is for the people who work with us and the people that we have the privilege of serving. And our goal is to make sure that they can call Gainesville home, not just as a location, but also as a physical place where they can go at the end of the night.
That's great. Tell us about you, JT.
Yeah, so born and raised in the area, came to work kind of in the nonprofit scene in 2010 at Peaceful Paths, the local domestic violence center. Had the opportunity to do some direct service and work with some pretty incredible folks over there. And then got the opportunity to work in fundraising and run the development office. And I think I realized then that there's really something special about introducing the community to a mission. I really, really enjoyed that process. So I worked at Peaceful Paths for a couple of years doing that, and then have the opportunity to come to work at Grace and pull people in and teach people about what we're doing and how this organization really is focused on ending homelessness for folks, and it's really, really cool. It's a cool job.
That's great. I remember that I met you when you were part of the leadership of Peaceful Paths, and you were running all these events that we were chefs. By the way, a message to Susie, she cooked really well. I was the marketing director. All the food was sold out immediately. That was a nice experience, but I remember the leadership. Tell me about what exactly Grace does, and what is the best way that Grace is helping to the next step, or to break this cycle that you are talking about. You know, you are not running around, you are just moving these people from homeless to have a roof. Tell us about what exactly you do.
So the work Grace does, in a lot of ways, it's really simple. It's not easy, but all we decided to do was bring all of the services that somebody needs to get off of the street into one location. We function very much like a hospital emergency room, you know, and when you look at an emergency room, it's very easy to think, well, when somebody arrives, we should make it as simple as possible for them to get the help that they need in their crisis. When they show up at the emergency room, sometimes they don't always say please or thank you because they're in crisis and they're scared and they feel powerless. It's easiest to think about what Grace does, and let me start with this. So Grace, in its day-to-day work, ends homelessness. We bring all of the best services that our community has to offer into one location so that you don't need to go anywhere but Grace. So that includes emergency shelter, it includes food, clothing, computer lab, it includes bringing in service providers from Social Security Administration, from the Department of Children and Families, from Three Rivers Legal Services, from Career Source. Basically, whatever it is you need, you don't need to be traveling all over town. Because before Grace existed, we were really asking too much of people who were in the midst of what, for many of them, was the worst crisis of their lives. We were saying, you need to show up to this shelter, and as soon as you got there, they would say, well, you're not ready to come in yet. You need to go over to the police station and get a police clearance to come in. And then here's a bus pass, and you're going to need to take 2 buses over to get maybe mental health treatment. But while you're doing that, you have to hurry up and come back over here because lunch only happens at this time. And all of these things we were asking people to do, they also had to figure out where they were going to sleep that night, where they were going to eat that night, where they could use the bathroom, and a million other things that we really take for granted when we have a place to go. And so what we decided to do was bring everything to one place so that you don't need to know anything other than show up at Grace and we will walk you through the rest of that process.
It is incredible. When this start, when this process start, I know that Grace start. Tell us about how you have memory about how Grace start.
So I would argue that it started back in about 1996 when I first started talking to people and realizing that nobody was working with them to get them off of the streets, that instead we were just sort of dealing with those initial needs, but not the actual root cause of their homelessness.
Yes. Okay.
Grace's campus opened in 2014, and even there, that was a 10-year process to get us open, where we had started off recognizing the need in about 2005. We had a lot of great political support at that time, but it took 9 years to find the place. Who would have thought that, you know, we came to the community and we said, we're going to open up the biggest homeless services project this community has ever seen. And people were not really on board with that when we first started. It took us 9 years to find the right location. And once we did, we've been able to get set up to establish that foundation and to continue to grow our programs and services to the point today where we've moved more than 1,500 people into permanent housing. And then in terms of the long-term impact, you know, we know that when we move somebody into housing today, of the next 100 people that we move into housing, 94 of them will still be housed a year later. So that's one of the ways that we measure our impact, not just in the short term, but we know that this has a long-term sustainable impact for the community.
And by the way, the location is wonderful. I think the place is getting better and better. I visited a few months ago the place for the veterans, and I was surprised. I say they're gonna have a really nice place that the people really appreciated. Even if they are in this condition, they can have a place that they can breathe and say, this is my house. I remember we were walking together a few months ago, and we were talking about how you want to everything look in the main office. And I say, I don't want to do this for me. I want to do this for them. And I always get impressed, especially with JT. We enjoy a couple of breakfasts and things like that. That I want you, can you explain us about how the people participate in these events, that they get them closer with the real situation of a lot of these homeless?
Yeah, you know, that was really going to be one of the things I touched on today is just encouraging people to take the time to come out and let us show you the campus. It really, like you said, it really is something that's beautiful. I worked at Peaceful Paths for 10 years before coming to work at Grace, and I had no idea the gym that sat out on 39th Avenue, that is Grace, and the work that John and the team that came before me has done in really putting together a program and kind of molding this campus that we have and we inherited into something that works for the guests that we serve. And that was, you know, when I talk about this often with people, but when I met John a couple of years ago and talked to him about taking this job, he said to me, he's like, you know, it's really simple. We ask people what they need, and we work our butts off to get it for them. And if we can't, we figure out a way to do it. And that really resonated with me because, you know, prior to me coming to work at Grace, it's really easy to look at someone sleeping on the sidewalk, or to look at someone standing on the corner of the street asking for money and say, man, if they just got a job,
Yes.
it would be so much easier. And in reality, that's not always the answer. They have, oftentimes, folks experiencing homelessness have 16 other things they need to check off their list of to-dos before they even can consider getting a job. And really, for me, our team is so incredible. We have this amazing team of advocates who work every single day on campus. We have this amazing team of housing advocates who are working with people to get housed. And then once they are housed, they keep in touch with them along the way to make sure that they stay housed. So to answer your question, I think that the easiest answer is to just come out and see what we're doing. Yes. Let us take you on a tour. Let us talk to you. We'll set up a Zoom meeting. I think that the first step is just this community who is already so generous, just figuring out what we do. Grace is 6 years old. We haven't been around for long, but I will tell you the work that's been done in those 6 years, over 1,500 people housed in that time, thousands and thousands of services offered, over 750,000 meals served. Yes. So you look at the things that Grace has done over the long term, and what's yet to come, and I hope we have the opportunity to talk about the cool things that we're planning. It's really, really cool. So come out and see us. I mean,
absolutely.
I think that's...
Especially to understand how you break the bridge between how you see Grace and how you really is. You know, because I have the experience, and I always share this with other people. I took some of the guys with me to do a breakfast in the 133 Cafe.
Yep.
And one of my guys, especially, in the past, he told me, when I always talk about, hey, come on, we have to help people, he always say, we pay taxes. With our taxes, they're supposed to get the help that they need. I say, it's not enough. Even if we live in the country with more money, we need more help. Then I took it with me, and he offered to go with me to bring breakfast to the people. And we were there, and what a big surprise that in the middle of this, he stopped and he said, I have to go to my car. Can you take my place? I say, of course. He went to his car because he see a couple, young adults, with a kid like 5 years old, the same age of his kid. And he went and he bring a present, and he brings some toys that he has in his car just to give it to him. How many people need to understand the message? They have to go. Guys, I'm going to invite you. You have to go to visit this place. I personally went a couple times. I really enjoy it. By the way, they have a place that, for me, absolutely wonderful. They have a boutique when the guys can go at any time, and they just can go and get the clothes that they need. Sometimes you go, and by the way, they have the S, M, XL, L. Everything is I was impressed. What is the name of the lady who is running this?
So that is the gem of our volunteer program. That is Nancy and Jean and Jan. And I want to talk about that just briefly in terms of, in the context of our core values as an agency. So everything we do boils down to safety, impact, and respect. Safety is providing a campus that's free from physical or emotional harm, and providing a safe place. Because one of the things, and I heard Jane mention this earlier, recognizing that nobody shows up to homelessness intentionally, nobody shows up without having experienced at least one major traumatic in their life, one traumatic event in their lives, which is homelessness, but usually many others that led to that, has led us to create a campus that is just built around any kind of expectations are there only to keep people safe. When you get to the clothing closet, the Grace Boutique, that's built on respect, you know, because the old model, on vacation, I travel to homeless shelters. That's kind of comes with the turf. But, you know, you see a lot of these different places that they say, okay, we have some clothing available for people, and it's a garbage bag full of clothing, and they put it out, and they say, here you go, get what you want. People fight over it. People pull stuff out that's dirty. People pull stuff out that doesn't fit them, and they take it. We have an unwritten rule that you can never say, you should be grateful for this because it's better than what you have, because we know we can do better than that.
Absolutely.
The Grace Boutique really carries that out, where people, part of respect is self-respect. Part of respect is having some control over how you get to present yourself to the world. And so we, rather than distributing clothing in this way that's kind of akin to a cattle trough, you know, we break it out. Our volunteers set it up. It's sorted by season. It's sorted by style, it's sorted by size. So you are going in and you're engaging in this thing that's much closer to shopping at a store than it is just trying to find the best thing that we have to offer.
This is just insane. I'm going to be honest with you. I park my truck in the back and I just start to empty things, and they were saying, oh, we don't going to put it there. We have to do a filter process first. I went to another nonprofit. I went to help in a weekend just to separate the good clothes to the bad clothes and do a lot of things. By the way, I realized why these people, instead of put clothes in the garbage, they send it to people because they think that's gonna help them. They don't gonna help them. If you have clothes that is in really bad shape, please put it in the trash. Because not only I really believe that if you wanna help, you have to do it right. Help is not 50%. I'm going to do 100% of my help.
Right.
Tell us about your plans, because I know that you are more in the future. What are talking about, JT, about what's going to happen in the next year and the next 5 years? Tell us about it.
Well, I'm going to let John take it, but I'll kind of tee it up. We are kind of looking at the next steps for what does ending homelessness mean? That's such a mouthful sometimes, right? So it's a lot of things, but really for us, in order to end homelessness, we have to have more housing available. I mean, that really is the answer. So we're hoping over the next year to present a project to the community that makes up somewhere in the ballpark of 30 studio apartments that would be positioned on our campus, and really try and check the box on affordable housing that won't leave folks stranded when it comes time to pay their rent every month. So I'll let you kind of take that on. But
well, we're not stopping anywhere short of ending homelessness. So that may not happen this year, may not happen next year, but that's where we're headed. That is our mission. That is what drives every single thing that we do. When it comes to affordable housing, you can't end homelessness without housing. That is, and for all of the different philosophical approaches of how we serve people without housing, none of it works until somebody has a place of their own. And so back to that, you know, that natural impulse to say, gee, what's the matter with that person? Why don't they just get a job? You know, we try to shift that conversation first toward not what's wrong with this person, but what has happened to this person. You know, and that helps us sort of reframe it as this person has been through some serious problems in their life. How can we support them? But then whatever that next stage is, whether that's connecting with Social Security or disability for folks who are above retirement age, getting a job, reconnecting with friends and family, reuniting with their children, all of those really important pieces of what it means to have a life, that all starts with housing.
Yes.
And the way we used to do it was kind of reversed. We said, okay, as soon as you have gotten a job and as soon as you have gotten some other form of income and you have solved this problem and you haven't had a drink in 30 days, then we will give you housing. We've turned that upside down. And what is most important to me is that we are always prioritizing housing, because it turns out that getting a job is a lot easier if you have a door you can close behind you tonight and you can get a good night's sleep. If you have a place you can keep your clothes where they're going to be clean. If you have a place you can plug in your alarm clock. So that idea that we have to prove that people are ready for housing, as opposed to just working from the assumption that people are ready for housing right now, has been something that I think Grace does really well. We say, no, we're going to start with housing first.
Yes.
And then everything else, the research shows every other service we can provide is more effective, more cost effective, does more.
Your foundation is really strong.
Exactly. You know, so when we're talking about what's next, it starts with making sure everybody has a safe place to call home. Now, not everybody can afford a safe place to call home, and that is a huge part of the problem in this community. Alachua County does not have a housing shortage. We have 19,000 vacant apartments right now. That is 20 vacant apartments for every single homeless man, woman, or child on the street. Where we get into the problems are if people can actually afford the housing that's available to them. When we talk about affordable housing in our community, we're typically talking about housing that works well for people who make $40,000 a year, $50,000 a year. Teachers, police officers, firefighters. But, you know, right now we've got at least 60 people in our shelter who have worked their whole lives. They now get $753 a month for Social Security or a disability check. They're making $10,000 a year. So even as we're talking about housing as the solution for them, they're saying, well, wait a minute. You're telling me that I can get an apartment for $600 and a $200 utility bill, and on the first of the month, I'm going to owe somebody $50. And that's not success to me. You know, that's in fact a pretty rational economic decision to say, I don't think that's going to work for me. So what we're creating now is a new model of affordable housing, looking back to the old days of rooming houses and studio apartments where somebody who's working full-time or has some income could pay, in today's dollars, something around $400 a month, $450 a month, to include room, board, utilities, Wi-Fi, and again, the safety and dignity that comes with a door that they can close behind them to get a good night's sleep. So what we're really targeting now is how can we create new models of affordable housing that work for the people who are most economically vulnerable, the people who would not be able to move into something that costs $1,200 a month because they're out of the job market, they have the income that they have, and that's what they're going to have. And how do we solve that problem for people? So that's what we're moving forward with this year, is one of the benefits of the Grace Campus is that we have 25 acres. And if you would have told me we were going to open up on a former prison years ago, I would have fought against it, but it has turned out to be the most perfect location for us to do what we're going to do, because not only do we have space to grow, we don't have to fight a NIMBY battle every time we want to expand services as needed. And so what we're looking at doing, as JT mentioned, is creating 31 units of studio apartments and really trying to balance people having access to the independence and the respect and the dignity that comes from having a place of your own, but also still being able to connect with Grace services as needed, whether that's coming into Cafe 131 for meals, doing laundry on the campus, or meeting with a social worker from the VA, or meeting with a social worker to help get food stamps, things like that. So people don't have to choose between moving 8 miles off of the Grace campus but then not being close to people who may have supported them for the years leading up to them getting housed. And how do we balance that? How do we find something that works for people economically and also socially? And that's what we're putting forward this year.
That's great. Tell us about the event. I know that you have an event that is coming, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to be really excited. By the way, the Fiesta Media is going to be ready to help you in whatever we can.
Awesome. That's great. I'm telling you, you guys are awesome. So we're really excited to bring the first annual Farm to Table gathering to end homelessness to the community. It's a really unique, casual, upscale event that gives people a different way to get involved and support our mission. So our friends over at Bluegill Food and Mildred's Big City Food, Bert Gill is curating the menu. It's going to be delicious. You know, we've got seats available, we've got tables available, and there's sponsorship opportunities that are still available. And then we also are being pretty conscious in regards to COVID and making sure that people feel safe and as comfortable as possible. So we're also offering gather at home ticket options as well. So if you want to enjoy the event and the meal from the comfort of your living room or your dining room table, we've kind of put things into place to allow you to do that. So all the details are at they're on our website, gracemarketplace.org, but you can also find them at farmtotablegnv.com as well. And it's February 25th at Bell Oaks Barn in Brooker, Florida. We're really, really excited about this event. It's going to be great.
Great message for everybody who is watching us. You know, we need people with money. We're going to build a little bit more of the housing close to Grace. Close with something, John, for everybody.
So a lot of people's eyebrows go up when we talk about whether or not ending homelessness is possible. We have spent years of our lives watching people on the street, not knowing what to do. And with Grace, we finally have a solution to that. You know, we have this system built where people can come in, they can get access to housing quickly, they can be treated well, they can be reintroduced into the community in ways that have never been possible before. So I'm hoping that everybody is on board with this idea, and I'm here to say that ending homelessness is possible, and it's happening right here in our community.
I can promise that you're going to hear more about these people. They are really involved with this community, and they are really winners in this game. thank you again for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Please
Thank you.
remember to see Great Marketplace, and remember, we need money. We want to build these houses. I don't know, I'm going to be part of this project, okay? I just
Looking
wanna
forward
let you
to it.
know.
Appreciate it, George.
We're going to be close. Thank you again, and Elio, I let you. Thank you for everything. We want to see you, at least you can say something from there.
The non-profit report is going live in 3, 2, 1.